mentioned, the SEC spring meetings are underway, and Brian Kelly and LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward met with Paul Feinbaum today. It's kind of a ritual. The SEC Network obviously sends the bald man down to 38, down to Destin, to talk about a lot of the things that coaches and ADs will discuss about the 8 and 9 game schedule. We gave our thoughts about that last night. We have the clip up on our YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, go check it. I gave you my thoughts on that. I gave you my thoughts on why I believe you're going to go to 8 games and why it makes sense. And look, Scott Woodward today, your athletic director, brought up the ultimate point of what we talked about last night, damn near almost word for word. There are just some teams in the SEC that know that they're not going to get to the level of LSU, Alabama, Georgia. They know that. I think Kentucky knows that. I think Missouri knows that. I know Texas A&M won't admit it, but I think they ultimately know that and want to be bowl eligible. The reason that they want to stay at the 8-game stretch of SEC conference games is it's because it's not created equally. Now, I'm not going to rehash all of that here tonight. We did that last night. Go check out that clip, like I said, on YouTube. But it answers the question. Now, what is the SEC going to do? Is it going to be 3-5? Is it going to be 1-7? I could care less. I could honestly care less what you do. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. And you know what else makes me feel really good about this is, man, for what it's worth, Brian Kelly kind of has that mentality too. I don't really care. You know, everybody's trying to, and all these stupid media members are continuing to try to get him to talk about Alabama. Coach, do you want to play Alabama? How many times is he going to get asked that question? And it's mainly from national guys. They're trying to get their views and their clicks. You know how they work. You know how they operate. And he says, yeah, cool. I want to play Alabama. I don't care who we play. Doesn't matter who we have to play to get to the ultimate goal of being a national title. But something that's really interesting to start off here with LSU and Brian Kelly that he mentioned, I think for me is him saying, and kind of taking a step back, he seems so relaxed talking to Paul Feinbaum today and just basically saying, I already knew what the SEC was. I knew what I was getting myself into. We had to change a lot of things. We had to change the way guys practice. You've heard what he said. We had to teach them how to graduate champions, all of these things. You know what one thing Brian Kelly mentioned today that I absolutely adore and love, and what he said? Now we know our plan of attack. Now now we know how we're going after it. I love that. When it's different, it's not coach speak with him, right? Like we would come out here with the horse rod and would say, oh, well, this is what Coach O said. Do you really believe him? Is he just saying that? It was fluff. No real meaning behind it. Brian Kelly, you know that it's real. You know that they have the preparation with Coach Flint and the strength and conditioning, like we talked about coming into the summer as the guys report. You know that you have both coordinators returning. There's a lot of chemistry there. You've gotten key pieces out of the portal. You got your starting quarterback back. A lot of people believe that you can win the West again. I'm one of those people. I like that he goes into that meeting along with your AD, and they are lockstep and key, and they have the same vision. You want to go to 9 conference games? We don't care. And LSU historically hasn't cared. You can go back to 2011 when LSU in the same season played West Virginia on the road, and then would also play Oregon at a neutral site game, which I don't care what you tell me. Again, a neutral site game is on the road. Then they'd go on, play Alabama, win 9-6. You know how it all ended. LSU has never been scared to pack up the bus and pack up an 18-wheeler and head wherever and play teams. They're not scared. It's like the rap song came out. If you're my age, 33, and you would listen to on Madden, outside of the club, and you think I was drunk, we ain't ever scared. That's literally, you could play that at LSU football ops 24/7, and it reigns true. It 1,000% reigns true at any given moment. I like that he said that. Here's the problem, though, that I have with the conference. The problem that I have with the conference is things that I see like Eli Drinkowitz, and to Eli Drinkowitz's point, and I love that from him, is he said, look, my words were taken out of context today when I said that, my brother is a pediatrician. If you hadn't seen this, the head coach of Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz, said, well, hey, my brother's a pediatrician, and there's guys playing football right now through NIL that are making more than my brother-in-law, who is a doctor and saves lives. Well, number one, most pediatricians don't save lives necessarily. Now, they diagnose things and give medication and stuff like that. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. It's not like you bring your kid to an emergency room and your pediatrician's there. I think you get where I'm coming from if you have children. Then he had to come out and say, no, that's not what I really said, yada, yada, yada. You know what coaches you aren't seeing talk about NIL at a high clip? Where's Kirby at with it? Where's Brian Kelly at with it? Where's Josh Heupel? Now, I know that Saban has had his quarrels with coaches, Jimbo. And Lane Kiffin came out today and took another shot at Jimbo Fisher. The teams that are winning don't really have to have a lot to say. Ohio State, really not anything to say. Michigan, you don't really ever hear anything about John Harbaugh. Clemson took a step back. And Dabo wants name, image, and likeness to be about Jesus, which I don't necessarily blame him, but I think it's a time and place for him to do that. The SEC, with this expansion, there's a lot of in-house bickering. It's like when you get older and you have a lot of siblings. Now, I am one of 4, and I am the youngest. And I will tell you, there's a lot of bickering that goes on. It wasn't until me and my brother got much older and more mature where, yeah, we might fight a little bit. We might argue and disagree, but not really. But 10 years ago, we used to argue and bicker about things all the time. That's what the SEC is. They are a family that constantly bickers. We want to stay at 8 games because we want to be bowl eligible. Is there really even an advantage or disadvantage? ESPN's not paying you any more money. Oh, you didn't know that? By the way, ESPN's not paying the SEC any more money for 8 or 9 conference games. And here's the truth, nor should they. You just got paid $50 million, $60 million, and in this new deal, 55, 60, some people report that you can make $75 million off this new TV deal with ESPN. What does it matter? What does it matter? Damn mosquito. Play 8, play 9, doesn't matter because champions don't care. You know how I know that? Because Kirby Smart came out himself and said that exact thing. 8 games, 9 games, I don't really give a damn. It's like that meme of, it's like, they have all these words and they rhyme, and at the end it's like, I don't care. It's Kirby. While he's got a cigarette in his hat while he's getting a bowl cut. He does not care one bit of what teams he's got to play because he's lockstep and focused and locked in. Play 8 games, play 9 games doesn't really matter. I'm going to get that bastard before the show's done. I promise you. But in reference to... Oh. There goes our YouTube. We have the echo. But I promise you, not only that mosquito, teams that win and know that they have good teams, they're not bickering. Teams that know that they're not behind in NIL and don't have anything to worry about. And NIL, they're not bickering. Jordan, I don't get your question, bud. I don't get your question. BK said that he won 9 conference games. He doesn't really care. Why would he care? He said he came here to play the best and beat the best. That takes 9 conference games. Sounds good. And look, let's get this understood here, okay? And not really to rehash this. The reason that the SEC does not want to go to 9 conference games is for 2 main reasons. Number one, you have an expanded playoff next year. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but we read it line for line so many years ago on this very show. When LSU made the playoff, they grossed $60 million from that, from being in the playoff. How much money you think is going to be in here now in these TV deals? Grossed. I don't care what the net number is. You didn't pay $60 million that you weren't expecting. And number two, it is about bowl eligibility because teams do get brand recognition and can recruit better if you say, I'm in the SEC and have 10 wins.